Hi, I'm Candace, and I'm so excited to share this message with you today on July 4th. I'm going to be talking about this historic moment in history that we are experiencing, and in relationship to the stars and astrology. In this moment, Pluto has transited and gone around the whole universe to the same moment when the Declaration of Independence was signed. Think about the Patriots after they signed the Declaration of Independence. Many people think the Declaration of Independence is when we got and received our independence. It's not. It was the beginning of the true war. When the Patriots signed the Declaration of Independence and it went over to England, England really declared war on us. And they sent their most trained and powerful troops to our shores. They were going to take us back under control. And the Patriots weren't having it. So when Washington was crossing the Delaware, up to that point, we were losing the war against England. But when Washington inspired his troops and they crossed the Delaware, that is when the whole war changed. And it started in our favor. Okay, that was the change. Right? This is the moment astrologically that window of opportunity where the energy is building, and Washington now is winning the war. The whole war was about 8 years in time, and that's what we're going through as patriots, right? We're now at the beginning. The beginning kind of started in 2020. We're now here sitting in 2021. I'm telling you, 2022 and 2023 is going to be the train arriving at the station, okay? So this is going to be really the height of what we're going through, the changes. As patriots, we have to stand together. I don't care if you're honking your horn at a flag, or you're standing on a corner waving a flag, or you're volunteering down at the audit. Every bit that you do helps us stand together as a whole. I tell you, the Arizona audit would have never happened if it had not been for the patriots calling and emailing our legislators. It's we're the ones, we're the patriots crossing the Delaware. We're the ones who are holding it together and making it happen. So we're looking in 2022. We're going to have a whole new batch of elections. Right? Well, this is the moment. This is the moment when Pluto transits 245 years and comes back to that exact same place that we were when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So yes, our elections of 2022 are going to be extremely important. Can I tell you what's going to happen? No, but I can tell you there's going to be a metamorphosis. It's going to be Phoenix rising from the ashes. So here we are in 2021. The stars, Pluto has transited in our sky back to the place, the snapshot in time when the Declaration of Independence was signed. And Pluto has transited 245 years to come back to that exact same spot. Pluto sitting at 27 degrees in Capricorn. This hasn't happened. This is such a momentous time. And we also have Saturn that has transited and has come back to that exact same place, Pluto at 27 degrees Capricorn. Another thing that's happening in this period of time when we're having these connections where Pluto's come back to our native chart, Saturn's come back to our native chart. This is in our house of finances, the United States finances. And it's opposite. Across the sky in astrology, the planet of Mercury is sitting just opposite at 27 degrees. Again, so momentous. But why is that important? Because the second house of finances, it represents government. And Mercury across the sky is sitting there and represents the people. And these planets are opposed to each other, right? This is the opposition of the people and the government. It's exactly where we are today. I'll tell you just a few more things about astrology and why this is so important. In the documents in this video, you're going to see a history of what happened throughout history when Saturn conjunct Pluto. We have things like 9/11 bombing, the Vietnam War, Slavery was abolished in, I think, 1833 in Britain. The 13th Amendment was signed during a Pluto-Saturn conjunction. The Civil Rights was signed during a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. This is a powerful time for us. So when we talk about Pluto in Capricorn at 27 degrees, what we're talking about is a snapshot in time. It is the moment they signed the Declaration of Independence. So at that time, Pluto was sitting in the constellation of stars called Capricorn at 27 degrees. And this is really an important aspect or trigger, because Pluto hasn't been in the constellation of stars of Capricorn at 27 degrees in over 245 years, which is today. Okay, so it's a very important thing. I have astrologer friends who talk about Pluto as the Lord of the Hell realms. When Pluto comes back around and triggers your chart, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's about when is it going to happen. Pluto comes into your life to change the things that you refuse to let go of. It is going to happen. You can fight it, you can try and resist, but you might as well just allow the change to happen, because it is going to happen. So the exact aspect will happen next February on 2022. That's when it will be exact. But when we have a trigger like this, the trigger happens in a window of time, okay? So when I talk about a window, imagine yourself at a train station, right? And you look on the horizon and you can't see anything, but all of a sudden you see a little speck, right? And then that speck gets closer and closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden the train's at the station, right? And then the train leaves until you can't see the speck anymore. Okay, that's kind of like a window of time. That's what happens when a planet transits the constellation and comes back and triggers your chart. You don't see it, but it's out there and you can feel it, right? It's starting to work on what it is here to change. So that's what Pluto's going to do. But we have another planet that's really important, and that's called Saturn. Saturn is the law. It is the structure of reality. It's our limits, our boundaries. I explain Saturn as the speed limit sign. You don't have to see it. But you know it's always there, and you have to abide by the speed limit sign, the law. So Saturn brings structure into your world. Well, what's happening, or actually what happened last year, is that Saturn, which takes approximately 30 years to go around the constellation, Saturn came around and it touched on Pluto in the natal chart of the United States. Now, this has happened several times since 1776, but what makes this important and this very impactful is that Saturn, this aspect with Saturn touching our natal Pluto, happens in the same window as Pluto touching our native Pluto. So Saturn comes in, and what we have now, we have Saturn and Pluto, which is Pluto transformation, Saturn structure. So what has started in 2020 is this changing of our boundaries. So things are beginning to change, right? We see it. We see it in our politics. We see it in our government, that, there's a little unrest, just like 1776, right? Before they signed the Declaration of Independence, the Crown was starting to put pressure on all the people in America. They were starting to battle. There were skirmishes. They were kind of like, in our election, there was kind of funny things going on. So that started in 2020 for us. A lot of things going on, people, a little unrest, the Patriots saying, this isn't right. And that's when they signed the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. Here we are next year, July 4th, 2022. Pluto will become exact. Pluto will come back and touch our native Pluto exactly, and that will be our July 4th, 1776, right? That is when I call it our Digital Revolutionary War 2.0. The Patriots are going to come together And that's what they've been doing since probably not 2019, right? All the patriots are starting to come together. There's a Hopi elder wisdom words, and in it they talk about people coming together and creating communities, and that change is coming. They start with saying, we've been saying this is the 11th hour, this is the 11th hour, but now we're telling you this is the hour. And in this hour, we are to come together as a community. And so that's what's happening for the Patriots. We're all starting to come together and make new friends, the people of like-mindedness, because we have this aspect of Pluto coming in, and the energy, we're feeling it. We're knowing things have got to transform and change. And we have Saturn in that aspect, where Saturn is structure. So we're changing the structure of our country as we know it. Now, the Revolutionary War was like an 8-year period, right, between the beginning and what they would call the end. So this is kind of what we're in for as patriots. We've been in the window, let's say, for a year. We have another 7 years before this really finalized, where, you know, the water starts to settle. So 2020 it began. 2022 to 2023 is where we're going to have this really intense aspect of Pluto. Major transformation, because it's a Pluto conjunct Pluto. This is a metamorphosis, right? By the time 2022 gets here, the butterfly is really pushing their wings and ready to come out of the cocoon, the metamorphosis, right? And this is going to go through 2022 through 2023. It's going to be this phoenix rising from the ashes with this Pluto-Pluto conjunct. So 2022 to through 2023 is going to be this big change, this big butterfly coming out. And then 2024 through 2025, we as a country are going to be asking ourselves, who are we? Now that we've gone through all this, who are we as a country? What is our identity? And then through 2027 to 2028, there's another aspect that comes in that really is about new technology. There's going to be so much hopefulness that comes through the end of this. And there's new technologies and new ways of doing things. So there's lots of hope for us as patriots. But we have to know and understand that this is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and I know we all are wanting it. It's going to happen on January 20th. It's going to happen in April. It's going to happen in July. It's going to happen in August. All these little things are happening. It's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And there's a lot of frustration, and that's part of the aspect. I have some words of wisdom from the Hopi elders I want to share with you that I hope will inspire you. You have been telling people that this is the 11th hour. Now, you must go back and tell the people that this is the hour. And there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in right relation? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth, create your community, be good to each other, and do not look outside yourself for your leader. Then the elder clasped his hands, smiled, and said, "This could be a good time." There is a river flowing now, very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river is the destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. And I say, see who is in there with you and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey come to a halt. The time of the one wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we've been waiting for.